How to use the Celestron Powerseeker 80 EQ. Alright, so I'm going to be showing you uh, how to use this telescope. This is known as a refractor, is what it's known as. There's different types of telescopes, but when it comes to all the refractors, they're pretty much almost always the same. Not going to go on a whole rant on that. Just going to be showing you how to use this type of telescope. I'll be going over some of the parts on this so you'll know the names of them in case you ever hear about those. This here is known as a tripod. Obviously, some of you should already know this is like a tripod. You have your mount head. This is known as a German equatorial mount, is what that is. And this here is the OTA, also known as the optical tube. And then in here we have the finder scope, and then the diagonal with an eyepiece inside of it. Those are some of the only things you need to worry about when it comes to this telescope. Something a lot of people forget or don't know is that there is a focuser back here. This is for focusing. That's what this is for, the wheel. You use this to focus. So if you're looking at an object in the sky and it's blurry, or it's a big white ball, or just not in the field of view, not field of view, but if it's like a big white bright ball, it has no details, it's likely because you don't have it in focus. So take that in mind when it comes to using this scope. You need to actually play with this knob until you get it in the field of view. It goes all the way out to about, let's see how far this thing goes out. It goes out about that far, okay? That is going to have the object clearly out of focus by a lot, and you won't probably see it at all. Too far in, and it won't be visible at all. So it's kind of like you got to kind of find that sweet spot for focus and whatnot. My advice is, if you ever want to set the scope up to work with a lot of the objects in the night sky, you use it on the moon. That way, if you use it on the moon and you get the moon focused and all that good stuff, when you go to view anything else, like a star or a planet like Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, you should have focus just fine in it. Another thing you can do is mark it on the focuser. I have a black line right here, which this is just where it comes into focus for my camera. So that's just for me to mark that I need to have the focuser about that far in to be able to get perfect focus for my camera that I use. And that's what I use. Another important thing to do is take the cap off, because some people forget to take these caps off and you won't see anything at all. Now, one thing I want to mention too is that the eyepieces that come with this telescope are kind of like small. I think this one here is about like a 20 millimeter or something like that. Yeah, it's a 20 millimeter eyepiece. This is a wide field eyepiece, which is not really extremely wide for a field of view. Personally, if you ever want to upgrade to better eyepieces, the ones that I would recommend are in the description of the video below. So if you ever want to buy some nicer eyepieces, those are the only two eyepieces that I would recommend you purchase, because you don't need any other eyepiece. Don't assume that if you buy a more expensive eyepiece that you're going to get better viewing. For a telescope like this, those are the perfect eyepieces to use. Should you ever plan to want to upgrade to a more expensive scope, then you can go ahead and purchase more expensive eyepieces. But for this telescope, don't let yourself think that if you buy more expensive eyepieces that you're going to get better field, you're going to get better viewing or better views, because you won't. I had that thought process too, that if I bought some really expensive eyepieces for this telescope, that I was going to see some more stuff that I wouldn't normally see, or better details. Well, it's kind of true. It's not really worth the money for a telescope of this price. So hopefully that's helped you out. If you have any questions for me, you can leave them down in the comments below, and hope you enjoy your telescope.